Excited to get back to the field, get back to ball. The open week came at a really good time for us, as we've talked about earlier. I do think we benefited from it physically in some ways that could help us down the stretch. 4 games left, all of those being critical. No bigger game than the one we're going to play Saturday. We need to be as healthy as we possibly can. I do think we're going to get some guys back to the field. It looks as if we're trending in the right way, at least with the guys that are capable of getting back. There are a handful, obviously, that are out for the season, which we have kind of discussed. But we will be healthier on Saturday against New Mexico. I love the fact that we get to play at home as well. I'm excited what our fans are going to do down the stretch to help these guys. We are fighting desperately to be bowl eligible, fighting to stay in the race, whatever that looks like, and it's proven to be chaotic. But this is a big game. This is a must-win for us. So we talked about in the meeting room. It's a must-win. It's the next step to get closer to bowl eligibility, closer to a winning season, and stay, in the race. And so I think our kids have taken a great approach. We had an 8-period practice last night, which is not something we always get to do, but coming out of an open week, we did, and it was phenomenal. Great energy. Guys went at it. We went from watching the soccer team finishing up with penalty kicks. We were able to watch every bit of that, which was, I think I was more nervous watching that than I am coaching my own guys. Loved our energy in the room, how excited our kids were for them. But we're right from there to the field and had a great practice. So great step in the right direction to get where we need to get to. We've got a tough challenge with Rocky and Danny's defense coming in. And triple option, we expect. So some challenges that we're going to have to face this week, but focusing on growing this team up, getting better, and finding a way to get a win. That's what we're going to do. What questions do you have?
Coach Patrick Mayhorn with the Ag Ship. What is the status in the quarterback room? Who you expect to play there this week?
I expect Coop to be the guy. He had a great practice last night in a non-contact environment. All indications is he will move forward without problems and be the guy. He obviously can't have a setback, but he is on track and past that part of the protocol and should be the starting quarterback and ready to go on Saturday.
Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. Sticking with, I guess, kind of the injury theme, do you expect Brock Lane or MJ Tafisi, some of those guys that got banged up in the Wyoming game or sat out the Wyoming game?
Yeah. So Brock Lane is good. Had a great practice last night. Byron Vaughn, Poulet, those are guys that are trending in the right direction. I would expect to be ready. MJ Tafisi is day to day. He is day to day. He would not have been able to play yesterday. Now we still got a week ahead of us, and he is moving in the right direction. Probably the most questionable for us right now would be him in that list of guys that you kind of mentioned. The others should all be ready and able to practice, honestly, probably full speed as early as Tuesday, if not Wednesday.
Al Lewis from KBNU. Can you just, this is kind of a three-part question here. Talk about your days at New Mexico and what you remember of those years. Rocky Long, and then what you know of Danny Gonzalez. You worked with him from Tuesday.
Yeah, I worked for Rocky. Rocky was my first Division I head coach. I was the offensive coordinator at Trinity Valley Community College in Athens, Texas, when Rocky hired me, and he gave me a huge break in the profession. I did not have a pedigree, didn't have some fancy name or any trophies on the shelf, just a hardworking guy coming up in the profession. And Rocky put some trust and faith in me and hired me to come coach running backs, eventually moved to coach wideouts before moving on as a coordinator at Middle Tennessee. So I would tell you I owe a tremendous amount of credit for my career to Rocky Long and his faith and what he saw in me as a young coach. I've referred to him as kind of one of my football dad. He doesn't necessarily like that as much as I do, but I really do believe that without his trust and giving me that opportunity, not sure that I'd be the head coach sitting in front of you today. And I just have an unreal amount of respect for him and his wife, Debbie. They've been very close, very integral parts of my family and my journey as a coach, as a husband, as a father, and obviously with all we've gone through the last few years, they've been a big part of that. They've always been very, very supportive. So Danny was a GA for us there. I had been a player, I think a walk-on player. It became a GA, and I thought immediately that he had something very special about him. I thought he had a great career ahead of him. It's proven to be true. We stay in contact, all of us, a good bit. We were able to get together a couple times a year at different events, and I enjoy my time being with him. I want to beat him on game day, but pull for him every possible chance I can. Danny's wife, Sandra, and my wife, Brittany, have become good friends as well. We share family together in terms of just pictures and stories and conversations. And again, it's one of the things I love about this, this profession is that you do have great friendships that on game day once a year is really, really competitive, but you pull for them, the rest of the year. And that's who Danny and Sandra are. That's who Coach Long and Debbie are. He's one of the best defensive-minded coaches, in my opinion, that I've ever known, and he creates all kinds of problems for you. And Danny is just exactly like him. They make a really good team, and it is always a challenge when you play against their system because it is so unique and well coached, and the technique that they play is so good that it creates problems for you that just other defenses don't. You add that with the triple option, and it makes this game really difficult to prepare for. Hopefully that answers your question.
I understand, but can you quickly go into why the specifics of their defenses absolutely kept them in the season a little bit in these games where they have really struggled offensively? What is it about their defense that is so good?
Well, it's a 3-3 stack defense, which is just very unique. We see a lot of odd fronts that are more 3-4 based. We see a lot of 4 down, middle field open. What Rocky does is very unique. There's only a handful of coaches and defenses in the country that line down and attack you the way they do. It's all moving parts. It is it's very much built around disguise and movement and chaos to some degree. And nobody does it better than him, in my opinion. He is able to get more out of less in terms of, you look on their roster, they don't have a ton of guys that are highly rated. We didn't when I was there, with the exception of Urlacher. And honestly, nobody recruited Urlacher out of high school but Rocky in New Mexico State. So it wasn't like Urlacher was some 4-star, 5-star guy. He was a guy that built himself, and Rocky and the defense built into who everybody saw, but that's just not who he was. The system is phenomenal at utilizing what they have. They get as many guys that play hard that can run around and really chase the ball at a high level, and they do a great job of putting in position to make plays, and they're doing that again this year. Their Lobo safety position is making play after play after play, and lost yardage play, tackle for loss, getting you off schedule. They do it as good as anybody. So it is a unique 3-3 stack, diverse movement, blitz, void zone, type of defense that is really hard to get a beat on. It's the best way I can describe it. And that's probably not doing a good job. Sorry, Rock.
Anderson, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Who are you expecting to see at quarterback for them, Kendrick or Holiday? And what do you see from each of those two guys?
All indications, again, we don't know for sure, is that they're going with a young kid that finished up for them, and that they are leaning more towards triple. But I think we have to take the approach that we could see either. One is big and physical, one is faster and shows a little bit more speed and elusiveness. But it appears as if, and again, I'm gonna call Danny and see if he'll tell me. I don't think he's going to accommodate me, but we would anticipate the young, big, physical runner, downhill runner in there, and we would expect a good dose of triple and play action off of that. But we could be completely wrong and have to adjust mid-game.
Brian Phillips again. Although all offensive schemes kind of have their own tweaks and nuances, Do you feel like having to face Air Force early in the year helps prepare for what Air Force or what New Mexico is bringing to the table?
It's a little different. Obviously, there is option, that does carry over. It's a completely different style of option. It's so. In answer to your question, it's probably yes. There's a few things you can take, but it is its own entity in terms of how they get to it. I think Banda would tell you schematically, it is it is sounds the same in terms of triple option, but definitely doesn't play the same. And so we're going to have our plan for this particular system, and it's not necessarily what we carried into in that game. The way they utilize the fullback with Air Force as opposed to more zone oriented type run game in this, it just doesn't look quite the same.
Al, again, I guess I'll ask something about your linebacker spot. If MJ can't go, what about your depth there? What do you feel about the younger players? I know one of those younger players went out with an injury in the game too. How does it look there?
Yeah, the young guys are fine health wise. They're just young. I thought both Sione and Max did some really, really good things at times. Their inexperience showed up and hurt us in some areas as well. I'm hoping, kind of like we talked about Bishop, that those guys get enough reps this particular week that we can eliminate some of the mistakes that they did make. I believe both have great futures ahead of them and have all the athletic ability to be phenomenal players for us. They just weren't quite ready. That's why we took MJ in the first place. We wanted to give those guys time to grow up a little bit, and it's happening kind of right in front of our eyes at this point. I don't know if we're going to get an MJ back this week or at all, depending on how he just progresses. So, both Max and Sione are going to step in and really just continue to grow up. But I'm pleased with the progress. They're both healthy and should be ready to go.
Mayhorn with the Ag Ship again. I want to ask about the striker position and the growth that we've seen this year from Kaleo and to a lesser extent because he's had less playing time, Amari. What have you seen from those guys recently? It seems like they have had some of their better games of late.
Well, I would agree with that. I think Kaleo just gets better and better every week. He was slated as the number 2, and when going into the spring game with Switzer going down, I think he took the offseason very seriously. And not that he's played without mistake, nobody does, but he has reduced his mistakes drastically throughout the course of the year. He's shown the ability to play with range, play in the backfield, play physical where needed to. Amari, coming off his injury, was a little bit later to develop, but we've seen some really positive things from him over the course of the last few weeks. I think his biggest issue is just the learning curve of not having the opportunity to go through spring and honestly miss most of fall camp as well. So he's starting to play himself into shape and both physically, but also mentally, probably more than anything. And I think both have bright futures. I mean, we're happy with them athletically. They just got to get better and better with experience, and we're seeing that happen. I think they're both playing better football now than they did at the beginning of the season.
Franson with 106.9 The Fan. Can you recall a season where you've had as much off the field, outside of football, controversy going on with you and your football team?
There's been a lot going on the last 5 years, obviously, but not any more than what we're dealing with now. So I guess the short answer would be probably not. We've dealt with our fair share of things off the field through the course of my time as a head coach, and not sure that I've seen any more than what we're dealing with now. Just trying to keep focused on the kids and give them my very best, and make sure that we give them every chance to get better. But yeah, it's hard to say we've seen anything any heavier or any worse than what we're dealing with right now.
Coach, one last thing from me then. You've had some regroup situations this year after Weber State, and when you did some things, and now you're kind of in another one a little bit this week. So you feel like it looks like your read on your team is pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest with him. In the locker room and the team room has been phenomenal. I think I'm very transparent with this group. I always have been. I think it's the best approach. I have shared with them, um, video of where we make mistakes, but I've also shared with them my thoughts on where some of the mistakes are coming from and why. And the fact that we are playing so many young guys, 17 freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and playing in the Wyoming game the other night. The fact that we've started 18 new starters, I think, this year. I think we only had 5 all last year and 14 games. So the fact that we've got 30 guys on the roster that have played their first Division I snap for us, there's a reason that this is the process. Don't give up on the process. Trust the process. And I think they've responded in an amazing way. I mean, we're not perfect. We're still getting better. Frustrated when we lose, frustrated when we make mistakes. But there's a reason. This is the process of growing up young guys, and we're going to be better down the road and in the future because of it. This is not a one game or one season type conversation. This is why I came here, to build this program up for the run, for the extended run, not just one season or one game. So I've been really pleased with their energy and their approach and their buy-in. And like I said, we had a great practice last night. That's the best indication I can give you that our guys are still willing to go work and still trust in what we're doing. And that gives us a chance to continue to win some games down the stretch. So hopefully they'll continue to do that for us.
Trent Wood with Deseret News. I'm curious how much you guys value junior college players when it comes to recruiting and building your program.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heavy part of what we're doing. I do believe I felt like we kind of neglected that in the first year. I don't know that we took advantage of that. That was a place that we had a lot of success at Arkansas State. If you look back to our best years there and some championships that we won, we had a handful of very impactful junior college players on our roster. I feel like we've done a much better job this year in the recruiting cycle. We've already received commitments from several. We've offered several others and are battling to recruit them. And to some degree, Trent, I mean, the portal hasn't opened yet. I mean, technically it opens on December 5th. So although there are a few names in the portal, I mean, the bulk of what's going to happen in the portal is not going to happen December 5th. Right now, we can actively look at, evaluate, and recruit actively high school and junior college players. And so we need to do a phenomenal job in both of those areas, especially for veteran guys at the junior college level that might be able to come in December, be here in January, and plug in some areas where we're still young or maybe inexperienced. So I'm hoping that it proves to be, a place where we can find value that maybe we didn't a year ago, that we undervalued the junior college area. I spent 5 years of my career at that level, and I watched some great players go on and have phenomenal careers. They don't all fit, but there are a handful of guys that can make us better and that fit our culture. And so we need to do a good job of making sure we exhaust, every junior college potential player for us. Anything else, guys? Appreciate it. Thanks.
Leo, Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. As you get ready for this New Mexico team, some question about who the quarterback may be, and that may dramatically change kind of how they operate, but still the bottom line is this is another triple option team.
Yeah.
How do you see them and preparing for them, and just how different that might be depending on the quarterback under center, how that might change what they do offensively?
As far as preparation goes, our preparation is going to stay the same with every team each week. Obviously, triple option is a little bit different, so we got to adjust to some different things. But just got to come ready with our lunch pail every week. Preparation stays the same.
But Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily had a lot of injuries on that defensive side of the ball. How do you feel like you guys are adjusting to filling in those injuries?
It's pretty late in the season, so injuries are kind of inevitable at this point. So that next man up mentality, we're gonna have some people step up and make sure that they're ready to go.
Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. Talk about how you feel you've developed as a player and progressed as the season has gone on.
For me personally, it's my first year. I finally get to showcase my talents. Been sitting a while. With every game, I learn new things. I do things that are great, and I do things technical wise that I could work on. But as far as the season has gone on, I'm pretty sure I've done a pretty good job of fixing those mistakes and keep progressing, moving forward.
Al Lewis from KBNU Radio. Can you talk about the ups and downs the season has had and how it is as a player to get through all of that? Again, when kind of last year you had to win the big one loss, then you won again. What has it been like this year?
This year's kind of been a roller coaster, man. Like you said, we've definitely had our ups and we've had our downs, and we've lost some pretty close games that we fought hard in. But like with any team, that can happen to anybody. It's just how we move on and how we fix those mistakes that we had.
You played against New Mexico last year. Did you play on defense or played in special teams against them in the game last year? What do you remember about New Mexico?
I mean, Mexico was a pretty physical team. I played on special teams. I got some reps at defense as a will linebacker. They're physical. They're a good team. They're more than capable of beating anybody in the league, but we're more than capable of beating anyone as well. So.
Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. There's been a lot of talk of the role of tight ends in this offense. How have you guys felt about your guys' role and the impact you guys have had in the run and pass game?
Well, I mean, we're just happy to be out there playing. We like to we really like to look at ourselves as an extension of the O-line and really help out with both of those things, right? We like to get physical, get in there and do the run blocking, but then also be able to go out there and open up the pass game. I had that catch against Wyoming, which was nice. And, we just really like to be that outlet, especially for the kind of younger and experienced quarterbacks like Bishop.
Josh, Trent Wood with Deseret News. What does Coop being back in the lineup do for the offense?
I think Coop brings that experience, even though, he's not quite, super experienced. He does have more than Bishop. He can stay cool and collected. He does open up our playbook a bit more, I would imagine. Everybody loves Coop. We all ride with all of our quarterbacks, so we're excited to have him back.
Patrick Mayhorn with the Ag Ship. It seems like your run blocking specifically on the interior has improved pretty significantly this year. Insert blocks, slices, things like that. What was your focal point this offseason? Where's that sort of come from for you?
Well, first, thank you, I guess. Well, I think that comes from our coach, DJ Tialavea. He's very focused on, we're going to do whatever we can to help the team. So we work all off season on footwork, physicality, getting bigger, stronger, faster, everything we can to, really open up. Most tight ends aren't able to go, one-on-one with like a defensive end, or we really want to be able to do that to, like you said, open up the run game, be able to help our O-line and be able to do more as an offense.
You had one of the touchdowns specifically against Wyoming. Maybe Calvin's big run was one where you were very involved in the play and helped to kind of spring it. When you're going back watching the film from that as a tight end room, what's the reaction when you're able to get one like that? Because so much of this work is kind of thankless, and when you're able to help break one like that, what's the feeling in the room?
We love our running backs. We love to get them, like you said, get those big runs. Calvin, it might be thankless, but Calvin sure isn't. He comes up to us and he daps us all up after each one of those runs, and he acknowledges us. So we're excited when we can, be just involved in the play and be able to, make one of those key blocks, because you never know which block it's going to be that might spring a touchdown, right? So that's why you got to go 100% each and every time.
Al Lewis from KVNU Radio and Motive. You mentioned DJ Tialave, coach. We all remember him when he played football for the Aggies, some of us. You talk about him as a coach and having the Aggie pride here that he has been, with it.
Yeah, DJ, he's just the best. He's the best coach I've ever had. All of us in the room, we love him to death. He's just he's awesome, and it is nice to have somebody who not only played in the NFL and has that league experience, but somebody who played here and has the experience of being an Aggie, has that Aggie pride. And just, sometimes it's fun when we have downtime, we'll go back and we'll watch film of when he played and watch how he did it. And those Aggie teams that were great, with Coach Keaton and all those guys, and just really look and see how hard those guys played, and just really try and set ourselves to the standard and try, to elevate our performance and be like them. So, DJ, he's the best. When I came home from my mission in 2019 and then came up here, and I was pretty rusty, let's say, and I wasn't doing too hot. But everything I've been able to do here at Utah State is thanks to Coach Tialavea.
I also ask you, you've gone more to a running type quarterback when Cooper's in or when Davenport's in, compared to where we were at the start of the year. Has the offense really changed a lot in that period of time, or has, in your mind, has there been a different kind of offense that we've had to use and spawner with now with the business?
Maybe slightly, but I wouldn't say to much of an extent. It's still the same offense, and we're happy to fulfill the role that we can.
Josh, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. I just wanted to ask you, this isn't football, but how's your first month being a father? How's it been like that first month? And you don't look too bleary-eyed, so that must be a pretty good sign.
Yeah, it's been pretty great. My wife is amazing, and she's obviously had to take on a brunt of the work with me, traveling and just being here at the stadium. But our daughter is perfect. What can I say? She's amazing, and she doesn't try and keep us up too late at night. She's a perfect little angel. So I can't take too much of the credit for that, though. If any, it's all thanks to my wife. So thanks for asking that.
And when was she born?
She was born September 24th. That was almost a gotcha question there. I had to know that. She was born a couple hours before the kickoff of the UNLV game, so I was not present on that game, unfortunately. But that's life. Sorry, could you repeat that?
What's her name?
Ruby Sarah Sturzer.
Anything else for Josh?
Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. Just one last quick question for me. Just when you see that UNLV, New Mexico defense, it's a team that likes to blitz and bring a lot of pressures. What are you seeing out of them as you prep for the Lobos?
Yeah, it's a lot of guys that play hard. Like you say, they have some crazy schemes on defense that we got to just prepare for and just use our fundamentals and really dig in and get ready for a physical game.